Beautiful. I love ChatGPT. Look at that.
Cool. We are live. Let's go. Let's put that on. Okay, so you should be able to see that now. All right, it's time to go. Just put on X and on them as well. We're going to do the giveaway now as well.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about. Everyone's starting to get in. Hello. It's working.
$13 people in. I'm lucky for some.
No, yeah. It's actually working this time. Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate nice comments. So we're going to do the giveaway. I just need to get the usernames. So it won't be a second as we go into that. And then we're going to go into some trading. So obviously I've been waiting for, this might be the drop that we've been waiting for to come a little bit later as we've transitioned on ES. Had this is kind of where I was looking to take it down to. But we'll cover all the indicator anyway today. That's the whole part of today's thing, is to go through all the different settings, give you a head up. This is what news we've got today. So we've got crude 10:30. Let's move that out of the way for now. All right, we'll get a few more people in and then we will start. Is this the course where we learn about how to blow account one day? Yep. Not even one day. Like
one trade.
Yeah, literally. 15 minutes, go again. And do you know what, Eddie? We'll do it all without Fibonacci as well. So you're going to love it.
Have you noted the list?
Okay, right. So we've got the list. Let's put it into. We're going to do the draw now. That's a lot of people. Tiny wheel. Can I make a difference? No. I don't think it does it? No. Right, I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm just going to change screen share. Well, we're giving 5 people full access for lifetime. So anything else we bring on, you'll be able to. Yeah, use on Forex. Forex crypto. Congratulations. No, I won't attempt to say the username. You've won the first lifetime license. We'll be in touch and send it across to you. You got it. Ready?
No.
I'll put it in the chat.
And then.
Good luck all.
Yeah.
Ready. Come on, Brian. Look forward to seeing you in Discord.
Yeah.
Almost had an LFC person
Oh
there.
no. Oh no.
We have an MSc student. It's got to be a former DR.
Or current.
Or current. Say, Aaron, is that you, buddy? It's got to be. Congratulations if that is you.
It's on 30 seconds, isn't it? So.
Yeah, you can't comment yet. Chickezi Benson. One more, isn't it? How many have we done now? Is that 4?
Yeah.
Right, last one. But not a DR shoot anymore. No worries, buddy. Congratulations. Tony will message you on X rather than me because there's loads of spammers coming from me. So it's easier if it's not me reaching out, then it'll look more. Hey, it's Brian as well. Congratulations, man. Last one. We'll be doing regular giveaways on the lives as well. Georgie.
There we go.
Done. There's a lot of names. ChatGPT sorted it all out though, so no worries. I love it. Right, let's get back to it now. Let's get into actual trading. So everyone who entered the competition, we'll drop you a link. We're going to give you an additional 10% off. We've done a 14-day free trial. The standard trial is going to be 7 days. So as a limited time, you'll get 14 days free trial on it. And anyone who enters the competition will give you a 10% discount code as well. So you can get another 10% off if you then decide you want to carry on and use it. Other than that, let's get cracking. Back on to trading. Right, can everyone see the screen okay? Can everyone hear me okay before we kick in? Pricing, it's currently got $50 off. So after the trial, it is $97. Obviously, if you get additional 10%, that'll come down to about $87. Here's my level. This is what I was where I was looking into where when I was in the trade earlier, where I was looking to get us down to. So we can see at the moment, our current candle probability is a 70% probability that this candle was going to close bearish. So we're a sequence 4, which meant that the last 4 hours, we've had a sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3, and then this is our sequence 4. Okay. So this is predicting, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it up so you can see it. There we go. So this is predicting the current candle outcome for the hour. So you can see it's set to the hour here, yeah? And this is showing that of 204 candles, 70% of them closed bearish. The higher time frame is bearish. So this is our high probability. So this is when we're getting the current hourly candle direction is matching the higher time frame direction as well. And this is where we want to be trading. This is our high probability. And putting us in line, yeah, of where we want to, what direction we want to go in. So that is giving us our current hour. This is called the algo. So when you join, you'll get access to this. You can add it on. You want to use a separate screen for it so that you can use the hourly. What it means is that you're just collecting more data. So if you use it on the minute chart, then you're only going to get the minute candles back So you always want to use it because we're using the higher time frame. Obviously, we can put it down to a minute and sorry, 1 minute. And now that's going to show us the next minute and the expected candle for the minute. Corrective bearish, so we're expecting it to close bullish, which is this candle here. It's showing you all through it. We can put it up to the daily and see what we currently have. So we're in a higher time frame bullish with a current bearish. So we're in opposing trends at the moment, and the current day has a 61% probability of closing bearish. So again, we're counter where we want to be. So it can tend to be a little bit more messy on the day when we get those trends when we kind of more get everything aligned. We can look at the week. Just check. Just tell me to slow down or to go back to anything if anyone wants me to do it on the chat.
To get access on the studio. So.
Yeah. What is the higher time frame you're using? So we're going to use the 1 hour. This is going to be able to be used for any time frame on the higher time frames as well. But the current setup that we're using is the 1 hour, utilizing anything sort of 5 minutes and under to look to trade with that trend. Yeah. So, for example, here where we're getting these signals, it's not just that we might want to take it into this little pullback. What we know is we've already transitioned into a bearish trend. We know we're in sequence 1. We know what the probability of sequence 2, sequence 3, sequence 4 is. So it's that, okay, we're expecting 70% probability the next one's going to be bearish. Same thing, same thing. So it's not just for the hour. We can also then predict kind of how the next few hours and what the potential of that happening is. So it is, in terms of day trading, this is designed, this part of the algorithm, this is designed for the day trading as where the actual algo can be used on any time frame. So at the moment we can see it's corrective bullish and a higher time frame bullish. So there is a high probability this week that we close bullish on ES. All you got to do is just change chart time frame and it will change with you. So we're gonna bring up a load of data now. So this is going to be, let's try and make this as easy as possible for you guys to see. I'm going to have to put it into small. What have I done? Let's put something we put here. Let's go on to the 1 hour. No, broke it. Hang on. Ah, for God's sake. It's because I've just added it. Maybe a second.
Yes, to answer your question, Aaron, it was lifetime. And that's for anyone who's won on that. There is lifetime access.
Yeah, I'm going to... Apologies, guys. To get in the Discord and screenshot so that you can look at them off trading view. We are going to look at a way of making this a little bit neater, build a database and all that future development that comes as we expand and as we get bigger.
Yes, Jing, that's right. 97 a month, yes.
So what we're looking at here is there are 80 different sequences that the algorithm looks at, 80 different outcomes. So right now we're in a higher time frame bearish, strong bearish, sequence 4. So higher time frame bearish, strong bearish. So we're in this sequence. So sequence 1 of 638 candles on the hourly, 96% of the first sequence closed bearish, 74% for sequence 2, 69% for sequence 3. We're in sequence 4 at the moment, 70.59. And then the next sequence is going to be a 74% probability of being bearish as well. And then you can see as we go into sequence 6, it will be 81%. So at some point, obviously, we're going to transition out of this trend. So if we're in a bearish trend, we're going to transition from bearish to corrective bearish, right? So once we transition out of this, either if we have high impact news or something, it might transition us straight out if we went fully bullish to go from bearish to bullish. But normal transition is from strong bearish into corrective bearish, which you can see then, obviously, there's only a 10% probability that that candle will be a bullish candle. So we go from bearish to corrective, then from corrective into bullish. So we will transition through the different types of stage that the current candle is in, using a higher time frame filter. So we're either bullish on the higher time frame or bearish, and then on the current candle we're either bullish, corrective bullish, bearish, or corrective bearish. So right now it's just categorizing them like that. So once you've got access to the data, you can then see like the probability of getting the next candle, what's the probability that you'll get a sequence 4, sequence 5, and not only obviously the probability of the current candle. Okay, what is sequence 1, 2, and 3? That is literally just showing you sequence 1 is a trend. So you're in a corrective trend, you're in a bearish trend, strong bearish trend. It's the type of trend that you're in, and then how long that lasts. So 1 is a candle, basically. Yep, so when you get access to it, I've fully recorded. There's an hour and 10 video going over this direct. Everything's all there for you as well. And I've gone into each thing, as well as there's more coming. So you'll be able to do it in your own time. So obviously we can look at this on any time frame. So if I go back to the daily, you can see that all the data changes to match the daily. I can then go into the 1 minute, and you can see now the data is around the 1 minute. Let's put it back to the hourly. Now, again, I said you can obviously use this on anything. So we can go into crypto. And go into Bitcoin. And we can see that we have the Bitcoin prediction. So we go to the daily for Bitcoin. So right now it's on a 50%. So we don't have any real probability on the day, apart from its corrective bullish in a higher time frame bullish. We can go to the weekly. 65% probability that Bitcoin's going to close bullish this week. We can go to the monthly. So right now we're corrective bullish on Bitcoin. No high probability on the month at the moment. And obviously, if there's enough data, you can move into yearly. But I think we got that. Let's do 3 months if we can. No, I don't have to select it on the main time frame. So yeah, so you can go up through any of the time frames as long as there's enough data. So when we look on the monthly here, because obviously this is the index, you can see obviously the totals of how many candles, sorry, how many times that sequence happened and the outcome for that sequence. So obviously on the monthly, there's not as much data, but when we head down to the hourly, you can see obviously like this one's got 1,300. So of 1,300 times that sequence happened, 90% of them closed bearish. So it's based on a lot of data. 1,300 hourly candles of that sequence, 90% closed bearish. So it's not that every single stat is an opportunity to trade. It's just categorizing, and so you can see where you're currently at to wait for high probability. So for example, let's go back to ES. Go away, you. And I'm just going to go hide the table again and make this large so you can see it. So when you're trading, obviously you can just have it like this, so that you're just using the prediction for the current candle. So here we are in a sequence 4, right? So this is a sequence 4. So this hourly candle is a sequence 4. So that was a sequence 3. That was a sequence 2. And that was a sequence 1. So we know that when we got this, there was a 90% probability of this candle closing bearish. Yeah. And then when we went into here, we went into 70% and so on and so on. Right. So all these sequences through this here were high probability. We had our higher time frame bearish as well to give us that confidence in the trade. Now let's talk about more of the other reasons to take the trade. Okay. So this bit along the bottom, turn off everything else. This is really, really important. So when we talk about payday, this is a payday setup. Right now, we're just sat in a payday setup, okay? And the reason why it's a payday setup is we've been bullish. So strong, bold blue is a very strong trend. Then we've gone into a shaded, which is a strong trend. Back to a very strong trend. Then we've gone into a weak. So yellow is a weak bullish trend. When we go orange, we've then transitioned into an initial weak bearish trend. And then we've had a very strong bearish trend. So that transition from bullish to bearish, with the higher time frame being bearish as well, it's that transition back to the existing trend. And we're expecting then to get that large movement down. So as I said, I've just gone back, and anyone who's come from DR, you'll know I highlighted an open VIB here. It's not on this one. Sorry, it must have been on a different time frame, but we've even got one there anyway. And that was what I was looking at as potential where we could hit, as well as there was high probability levels there as well for us to hit. So this is based off of data as well. So it's utilizing, so we'll go into the settings on here. So these are where we will give you the ideal settings for each pair, time frame, going up higher time frames. It can be used on any time frame, weekly, daily. So you can see transitions on daily and get those really swing trade setups. But you're getting the payday on the daily chart, on the weekly chart, where you see it transition in line with your candle prediction. So you can get those swing trades as well. So what we're looking to do here is these are percentages. So it's taking a look at the most recent price action, the most recent candles. It's looking at various things such as volume and other stuff. It's then giving us the average. We're getting rid of the top 10%, which you can adjust, so that we're filtering out any noise. And then what we're doing is looking at the current hours where we are and saying, how does this currently sit compared to most recent? So right now we can see that the bearish volume, the bearish activity compared to most recently is very strong. It's above 70% of all previous strength. So when we have that, we know it's going to take a lot for it to swing back bullish. So whenever your trend is in these, your only idea is that you are going to switch back to bullish until you get your transition. And then when you get your transition, that is giving you the signal of, okay, now I'm ready to look for my shorts. So let me ask you a question. How many times have you been in a trend, jumped in, you've been right, but too early? I'll put my hand up. Many times I've been there. This is about helping you know, like, okay, wait, not yet, not yet. Okay, now we're starting to get that transition. And you can see how, like, as this is looking like it's going to go, you might jump in here, you get that pump, and then it drops. It's like giving you that, okay, now we're ready to transition. Yeah, so we're bearish. Now we're transitioning to bullish. Now we're looking for that pump. Yeah. So it's just helping you with, we're bullish, we've transitioned back. Now we're bearish. Bam, it drops. Yeah, we're bearish, we're bearish. Now we're transitioning into bullish. Doesn't last, transition back. Yeah, bullish, transition, bearish. Now we drop. These are your payday setups when it aligns with the higher time frame. They're still good when it's not aligning, like this doesn't align with the higher time frame bearish. That's why it's not as strong as when you get the transition back to the current direction. Now, at some point, obviously, the higher time frame trend will change, and obviously then when that happens, you won't get as big a drop as you want, but then you'll switch and it'll give you then back in line. You'll then be trading back in line.
The whole point here is to keep you into high probability setups rather than looking at every setup.
Yeah. So does that make sense? Has anyone got any questions, anything more around the trend AI? Try to keep it really simple so that when you're doing your analysis, there's not too much to it. It's very kind of like, I'm bearish, I'm bullish, and I ain't thinking anything other until I transition. And then I've got my higher time frame to keep it really simple, because we want to stop thinking, because this is where we make a lot of ourselves. I think this is going to happen. I think, and your brain gets in the way instead of trade what you see. We're bearish, but I need to be patient during this corrective phase to catch my move. That makes sense? Everyone happy with that? Because obviously you can get your trial, don't have to pay any, you're not going to, you can cancel at any time during that period. You can get in, start using it, make sure it's all right for yourself. Okay, so we've covered that. Let's get into the hourly stats. Okay. So the lines just visually break up an hour for you. So this is an hour. This is an hour. This is an hour. This is an hour. Okay. And then this data here at the top, this is showing you based on the last 24, 35 candles, if it was bullish or bearish. If it was bearish, each segment is 10 minutes, where the high was of a bearish candle and where the low was. So I've set this data to be this week. So based off of ES this week, currently of all bearish candles, 51% were in the first 10 minutes. 28% were in the second 10 minutes. Within 20 minutes, you can see there that basically 79% of all highs of all bearish candles, and let's lay that out so you can see an example of it. And it just so happens to be a perfect hour. Here's our high put in. We're a bearish candle, so we expect the high in this section. And where do we expect the low? 47% say it's in the last 10 minutes, 22% in the last 20 minutes. So that gives us, again, another very, very high probability that this section here is our take profit zone. Here's our trade zone. Here's our take profit zone. Right? And that's utilizing what's happening right now. Now, you might say that's not a lot of data. No problem. I've only filtered it by this week. Let's go to August. Start at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. We're now up to 199, 196. And actually the probability's gone up. We're now 61% in the first 10 minutes. Yeah. I can then go up to the 5-minute chart. And now I've got 708 and 621. It's still 60%. That's a lot of data. That's a lot of, that's 600 bearish candles. And you can see that 60% of the high in a bearish candle was in the first 10 minutes on ES.
It's absolute gold.
It's gold, right? If you're going to enter a trade, regardless of whatever system you're using, you're going to go, if you think it's going to go down, when do you want to enter the trade? Where is your highest probability of capturing the high? And where is your highest probability of capturing the low? Right? Sell high, buy low when you're selling in a bearish trend. So that gives you that data. Now, you can literally, the great thing about it is obviously you can just fly through pairs. Let's go on NQ. And we can see on NQ, it's 59%. we can go and look at Bitcoin. And we can see it's 62%. We can look at stocks. We can go on Forex. Euro USD, it's 58%, 13%, high and the low, right? So you can literally fly through any chart and then filter by, and it'll give you the stats. You can then filter it to show you the most recent data, like this week, which I like to use, see how it's performing this week. So let's look back at where we are. So there's a perfect example of it playing out. In the settings, you can select, show me the first 20 minutes, and it'll add that line on for you. And then obviously you can customize it. Yeah, so now I can see each hour. Here's my first 20 minutes and what I'm expecting. And your prediction to let you know, because that's great, but how do we know what the candle is going to be? Well, we know that that candle had a very high probability of being bearish. Therefore, we know that there's a very high probability that this is where the high is going to be and this is where the low is going to be. Right?
We've got CL.
Yeah, sure.
On it, Vlad. On it.
Okay, so we are bearish. What does this look like to you? Potentially a nice corrective trade. I've already taken my short here when I was trading this morning. So we can see, and if I change the algo as well to CL, so we can see at the moment we are corrective bearish. So we have a 30% probability of it being bearish. So right now, what is it? Probability is against us. So we're not looking to go short yet. Okay. We can see that's been a corrective 2. So this was the first corrective candle. This is the second corrective candle. So these would have been bearish. This was where we had that trend stop. It then obviously by the time this candle started, it was like you're now in a corrective stage. So you had this hour, which failed, and then we now went into a corrective phase. But obviously our higher time frame is bullish. We are bearish in a higher time frame, so we are expecting at some point for this to flip the other way. And I think if we look at the daily, yeah, so we're corrective bearish on the daily. So there's a 70% probability right now on the daily that we're actually going to close bullish. So obviously we opened up here. So right now we were talking about it today, that before we go bullish, we'll have to come back above the 0 line here. And then we'll look for that transition and potentially look to bring us back up. But we don't trade that until we get the high probability putting us back in that direction. How do you like that? We got a daily analysis. Where's our probability? We don't just jump on and trade that. We wait for the hourlies to match. We wait for everything to bring us back in line. We only trade with high probability. Okay, so let's go into what are these lines. I'm just going to go back to ES because I've been using it. Okay, so here you can see this dotted line and strong line, right? What this is of all these hourly candles, it's giving you what was the mean bullish move, what was the mean bearish move. So that is the strong green and strong red. What is the average pullback, the mean pullback for a bullish candle, and the same thing for a bearish candle. So we can say at the moment, if this is going to go bearish, we could look at what do we expect is our mean bearish. So we opened here, bearish 2.2. So that gives us our average move on a bearish pullback. Yeah. This is 50% of the mean. So this gives you really high probability targets. that obviously this is where the average is, and this is where 50% of the average is. So this is really high probability. These will have, they'll have percentages added to them very soon. So you can actually see the exact amount that hit that physical target. Everything will be statistical based. So it is actual, and you know the exact amount. So what I like to do with this is, the reason why I like to bring it to this week is because we want to make sure volume is matching the current volume of the session, right? We want to be because the volume can change quite a lot. So it will adjust. You can see that means drop now to 1.93. It will adjust these because it's based off of then this week's bullish and bearish candles. What did it hit? Then what we can do is as well and say, okay, well, actually, today's a Wednesday. So let's just look at Wednesdays. So if you're trading crypto, switching to the weekend's great because obviously the volume's a bit lower and you can just look at weekend data. So we can filter by day of the week. And now we're just looking at Wednesdays. So let's increase to the beginning of October. And now that's given us our data on Wednesday. So we can see our bearish highs on Wednesdays have been 63%. These are our targets for volume based on obviously where prices move to for a Wednesday. We can then also filter by hourly range. So this is based on New York time. So then you can filter by just show me, specific before New York sessions, after New York sessions, so that you can filter by specific time. You can hide the lines, obviously hide the tables if you don't want them there. And you can also then change and filter by regular trading hours as well.
To answer one of the questions in the chat as well, does it happen often that all probabilities line up? Yes, it does happen regularly, but the point being with this is that you're trading with high probability, so you're staying out the market on that particular pair until it does line up. But that obviously gives you the opportunity to be able to trade across multiple pairs, crypto, whatever it is that you want to be looking at, whatever your daily setup is. You can be looking across multiple pairs and saying, right, where's my best chance of a move today, and following the right sequence based on only trading with a high probability one. So it's not just, yes, if you normally trade gold or you normally trade ES, yes, they happen often enough, but it gives you the opportunity to look at multiple pairs and be able to pick those high probability trades rather than just one.
Okay, I think we should have a look at some signals, different type of signals. So what we know here is within the first 20 minutes, we know there's a 63% probability if it's going to be bearish, this is going to be the high. So when obviously when we pass that point and we start moving down, this area becomes high probability as one of the places you can put your stop loss, right? Once this low goes, it becomes even more probable because now that's gone. So if we're bullish, we know it's likely to be here. If we're bearish, we know it's likely to be here. So when that's gone, I'd say, so for example, that went at 833. By that point for a bearish candle, we haven't had any lows in that segment. So let's just increase the data. I won't filter by week.
You're only on one day, you're on Wednesdays, that's why.
Oh, yeah, I've taken that off now. So you can see we've got 60, 75, so we've got 83%. So by the time that low went, there was an 83% probability that that was the high. So from a stop loss placement, it's giving you safety as well. We know, obviously, if we're in that continuation of a bearish trend, we know what the second candle, third candle, and potential fourth candle is going to be. So we know our stop loss is safe once, say, for example, like here, once that low goes, we know our stop loss is safe. And then, obviously, as we're bearish candles, we're expecting then the lows to go from the previous hours as well. Yeah. So in the signals, we've built in 3 different signal types. So these are just the normal signals, and these are your highest probability. But we've also built in early signals as well. So let's just have a look at the early signals. So these are showing you in the first 10 minutes an initial bias potentially. So they are not there for you to jump on and trade. They're just there to give you an initial bias. So we can see here that in the first 10 minutes, 60%, and there you go, you can see we just flagged the sell. if we were hyper confident and we had everything aligned and it gave us the signal that we were looking for, then yes, potentially you could take an early signal. But that is just giving you this probability. If you get a signal on the early and then on the normal matching, this is again adding up that, giving you that additional confluence of getting two signals that are matching. So if we get a sell and a sell, then that's giving you that real confidence in the direction, obviously, as long as it's matching with every other confluence that you have. So, for example, sell and sell. And then we have late signals for continuation, so that you can see kind of that price is continuing in the direction that we want to be going in, that we're getting those sell signals. Yeah. You can see we get sell, 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 right? Buy, 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 buy. It's just helping with that continuation that the trend is going in the way that we want, and potentially giving you some warning on it. So I use them when if I'm looking for an entry, if I've not got one, if I'm got that confidence in all the data's adding up and I'm looking for a place to get in. You know, I might scale in with an early, add again with another normal signal, reduce risk at the early signals, all that type of thing. Other than that, I tend to just use the normal signals as they are the highest probability. Does that make sense? Yeah, right now we are on ES. The higher time frame is bullish. So where we want to see, where we really want to see happen is we really want to see the trend flip and go back bullish to match with the trend as well. That might not happen today, but that's what we really want to see. Right now we're bearish, so I'm only, you know, there's a 61% probability of being bearish. You know, do I really want it? You know, do I really want to jump in potentially on some of these trends? Sorry, that's the daily. Let's put it back to the hourly. No, it is matching. I thought it was right. My apologies. Sorry, yeah. So we're bearish and bearish on the hourly. So these are where I want to be trading when I've got both aligning. So current hour matching higher hour. This is where you get your payday setups. These are where you get your strong moves. So we transitioned, and now we're moving off obviously down that direction. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean it's going to go on forever. But these are the high probability setups that you're looking for. So you can see, obviously, here and here being potential entry points for obviously trades and getting that continuation. Obviously, this is the one that I was in earlier with me stop here. And then I'll just add on, because it's into the signals. We've got a couple more things to go through. So these are the moving averages, and they have sell signals as well. The sell signals are more based on, they're the only thing that isn't based on probability. It's based on price action, which just gives the opportunity that just to add a little bit different in. Now, you don't have to use them. I quite like them. They can often give you an indication, especially in that first 10 minutes. If you get one that aligns, there's a really great opportunity to jump in at that point. So they can work really well, but obviously you can go in any time frame for these. So obviously they will adjust and change based on the time frame that you're on. So you can see, obviously, they have now gone. We go up to the 5 minutes. You can see the signals there, but there isn't any around here. So they're the only ones that are based on price action, and you can use them on any time frame. I wanted to add them in for that reason, is that if you're doing more swing trading, then potentially you could use these for your swing trading. We will be building in higher time frame signals as well, weekly, profile, all that type of thing. But right now we're just focused on this day trading. Especially for the prop firm space, you know, you need to be in and out in the day. You need to be focused on obviously trailing drawdown, making sure you're getting in and getting out, taking your profit and hitting your base hits. So it's perfectly designed for that. So just to go into, so I'm just going to hide the hourly stats. Just to go I'll be quick on this one. So here's your stats around this moving average. So you can see it's giving you the average move. So when we get across, what's the average price moves? How many crosses it's counted on? What's the success? A success is when it crosses back over, is price higher or lower? So obviously if we cross bearish and it's lower when it crosses back bullish, that's success. If it doesn't, it's failure. So it's showing that 37% of the bullish crosses ended in price when it crossed back over higher. Otherwise, it ended in it being lower. So the probability of this is that when it crosses, by the time we cross back bullish, is that price 70% of the time will be higher. And then the final thing is how many candles on average did it take before we hit the peak of the cross? So it gives you a time period for your moving average of how long did it take before you hit the peak, before price hit the peak. So we can see 115 candles, which you can measure. So when we get the cross, we can just go 115 candles and be like, okay, most of the time, by that point, we know we've hit our low. Now, at the moment, some of this data is quite high level. The future is these will be built into the current candle sequence. So when you got a cross during a strong bearish, what was the average move? So that it's then built around a profile. But right now, it's just giving you straight up data of what's happening with your moving average. So for example, we can change our data inside the type of moving average you want to use. So if we go down to 8 and 12, we can see the data changes. 422 crosses, 31% of success, 30 candles on average before we hit the high and the lows, and average we did 3 points of movement when we cross, right? So we're actually giving you data on the moving average rather than it just being, I think that looks right, or that's what I want. You can actually then adjust it to be how you want. Okay. The signals are built into the moving average as well. So you'll only get a sell signal when it's under. You'll only get a buy signal when it's over. And then obviously you can adjust the colors and show where it's cross. When you get a cross, it will show you where it crosses bullish, shows you where it crosses bearish, and you can turn them off. And then obviously you can also change chart time if you want to do that as well. Very basic, but I think from a visual point of view, I quite like them as a visual point of view. So it's, for me, that's why it's still included. I think it helps people as well. Just another confirmation of things going in the right direction. Cool. So, right, let's leave that on. Okay. Let me hide the table. Okay, so here, dynamic TP and stop loss. So what this is doing for you is that you can enter your bar color. So this can help you to keep with the trend, know what sort of trend you're in, holding it for longer. So if you need to stay in your trends and stay in your trades and hold them for longer, where it might then flip back on you. So if you're in these cells, when you get this candle here, it's like, okay, get out the trade, take profit. This is going to potentially come flip back on you. So if it doesn't hit your target, it gives you that opportunity to kind of go break even, reduce your risk, take some profit. It's just a great way of kind of giving you some visual aid of what's happening. Depending on whether you like to read the current candle, the candles, you know, you can just very quickly see where we're at and what's currently happening. Let's just go into then reading it. Okay, so the default settings I've built into this are designed for the 1 minute. So what we're looking for is when we're bearish, so when we're getting this transition, we want to see this come across the 0 line. And when we come across that 0 line, that's a great indication that we're going to see that stronger movement of action towards the direction we want. And when we cross the above, again, we're getting that kind of potential for a bullish move.
Just a sell signal as well.
Yeah. So now we can see here is giving us that this is currently sitting at a high probability of being our high for the hour. Obviously, we have moved quite far down, but still saying that right now in a strong trend, 74% chance of closing bearish. And right now, it's right on the 20. So we've had 2 segments. There is a 74% probability that this is our high. Okay, so let's lay out our hour. Now, obviously, New York is high volume. So we need, obviously it can change a lot in the New York Open. High volatility hours, I'd still obviously avoid news. Be careful with New York Open. Obviously, high volume, where it's very manipulative. You're not looking to kind of trade those because, again, they are very, you're not predicting those type of moves. It's predicting general market moves. So obviously, you don't want to be trading CPI because you got 74% chance of this being bullish because CPI volume will just take us through the roof. So you want to make sure, again, that you're staying clear of low volume, high volume, and just trying to trade it during normal hours. Okay, so here's our segment. So we're going to have a bearish hour. Here we have our potential high, 74% probability that this is the high. Here's our high probability first target, second target. Where's our low? Okay, so 52% probability our low is here. So we are quite spread out on our bearish lows. Let's have a look at what data we're looking at. Let's have a look at this week. It's been a bit higher this week. Okay, and that's brought our target in a little bit more based on the volume from this week. So yeah. But yeah, so we can see that this week our bearish lows have been 70%. So this is where we'll be looking for our bearish low. Okay. So obviously we've been in this bearish trend for quite a while. We've taken the low, which is good. But obviously we are expecting a pullback at some point. But we trade with the data and we trade with probability. Not always going to be right, but as long as you're trading with probability, then obviously the majority of the time you're going to be right. And that's the key. It's the consistency of not being right every time, but the majority of the time because you're trading with probability. So waiting for those transitions, waiting for the data to align, and waiting for your signals to get you in during those high probability times. Now, you don't have to trade the system the way that we do. You can just use the data. You can trade any way you want. ICT, yo, hi, Ozzy. Any way you want. You can then just use this as a trader's toolkit of your own analysis, what you think is going to happen. You know the data around the hour. You know the data around the current candle probability or the daily probability. And then using your own confluences that you've got matched up with MaxAlgo increases your probability of your success as well. So we wanted to make sure that this isn't just about how we trade it. This is anyone can use it in the way that they want to use it. It's just giving you high probability of what's going to happen. So I can look at the next 3 hours and say, well, what's a 3-hour candle looking like? Right. So right now, the 3-hour candle is 68% probability of being strong bearish. So you can do all your analysis on all the higher time frames. Let's go back to 4-hour. Right. So New York's about to open, right? Or is New York just open? We've got 4 minutes until New York opens. So what we can do as well, we can also predict how do we think New York's going to go, right? So obviously we've got the daily candle. So let's just have a look at the daily candle. So we know that the daily is currently saying that we're more likely, 61%, not huge probability, but more likely to close bearish, but we are in a higher time frame bullish. So we need to be mindful of that. So then we can also, if we switch to regular trading hours, we go to 7 hours, and then just switch up to regular trading hours. We can see, obviously, as soon as New York opens, it will give us another prediction for New York of what those 7 hours are going to be. And obviously we can do that on all the stocks as well. So we can obviously load up the stocks and get the prediction for the New York session for the stocks of how we think it's going to go. So for example, let's load up Tesla. So we can see at the moment Tesla is bearish. We're currently in a corrective bearish. So we expect potentially that to flow into a continuation of bearish. But we are on sequence 5, which is a 39% probability of being bearish. So when this candle opens, it will give us the prediction for the next, might be a sequence 6, we'll see when it opens. But that'll give us that prediction of what's going to happen. Obviously, we could look at what it's going to be in the table. So we can look at the table, and let me just move that to the top and go, we're corrected bearish, high time frame bearish, corrected bearish, high time frame bearish, sequence 5, sequence 6 is 42%. So again, that probability is moving more to the middle. So if we do move into a sequence 6, it'll be 42%. Obviously, we're corrective bearish. If we go back into a bearish move, we'll move into a sequence 1 in a bearish trend, which gives us a 91% probability of being bearish on the day. So in 1 minute, we'll get that new prediction. So let's have a look. I'll go normal, put it into the middle. And he's got a countdown. 30 seconds. Try it on NQ. I will do. I'm going to go through all the pairs. We'll look at all the different sessions, what we think it's going to be. I'll put a link to... is it? So the trial is on there. Okay, so we get on New York Open. So there we can see that Tesla has gone into a sequence 6. Let's move into ES. ES is 54%. We're currently bearish, but again, it's not high probability. We're bearish in a bullish market, in a bullish time frame. Let's look at NQ. All right, see you later. So NQ's got a 62% probability of being bearish, and again, in a higher time frame of bullish. What else should we look at? Euro USD, 6E. So we can see right now Euro USD is in a corrective bearish trend. Our higher time frame is bearish. So there is a 41. So you see where that just changed to 42. So this is updating live. So as the candle is either bullish or bearish, it's either a success or a failure. So that data is updating live. So we can see as it's higher. So that means right now it is bearish. So the candle is currently bearish. and that's why that data is going up. So as more candles print, it's collecting more data and showing it live. It's live now. You can use that link, take a 14-day free trial, and join obviously the Discord. We're going to be going live. I'll be live again on Friday. I've done a video. There's going to be a course in there as well on how you can use it or setups. So, for example, we've got the payday setup. The payday setup is this, where you get a transition from bullish to bearish, where the higher time frame matches. Hang on, have I done that right? 1 hour. Oh no, it's because I'm on. Sorry, I'm on. Need to be on electronic trading hours. So back on electronic trading hours. So we are bearish with a strong bearish trend, and we can see we were in a bullish trend. We transitioned, and this is our payday setup where we come under the 0 line. Our higher time frames bearish. We then get a sequence 1 into a strong bearish, which is a 90% probability of being bearish. So we are on a sequence 5. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you can see there, that was our 1. So this is when we first got that transition. So when this opened, we'd have got a 90% probability of this being bearish into a 70 and our continuation. So these are where we're looking to kind of get in our sequence 1s to then potentially ride that trade. As it's in line with the higher time frame, it's more likely to go through the sequences. Yeah. So let's look at NQ. Put in the chat what you trade. Yeah. When you get the payday setups, there can be massive trades. Trade NQ, CL. So in back testing, the issue that you're going to have is the candle prediction. And the reason why you've got an issue with the candle prediction is because when you replay an hour forward, it'll just go forward an hour. Won't give you minute by minute where you're currently at. So obviously all this is fine in replay. You can replay all this data and everything else, just the candle prediction, because you're using a higher time frame to give you your bias. That's just where TradingView replay, obviously if you're using like FX replay, if it was built into that, then that'll be fine because you can play the hourly candle forward. Yeah. So we got NQ. So at the moment it's on offer for 97. So it's normally 147, but if you do the trial, there's $50 off. So there's a 14-day trial, and then you'll get $50 off. And anyone who entered the competition will message you a coupon code for 10% off as well. So you can do the 97, and then you'll be able to put a coupon code in for an additional 10%. When you join through what, you'll be able to automatically, there's a TradingView add-on, so you can literally just, as soon as you log in, put your username, click on the indicators, they'll immediately get added, log out of TradingView, log back in, and then they'll be in your invite only. So let's have a little bit, some data on NQ. So we're looking at this week. Let's look at October. So NQ's been pretty good on the hourly data. So we can see here that within the first 20 minutes on NQ on a bearish candle, we've had 67, like 74% probability of the high being in the first 20 minutes. Just got that in back testing. So obviously all of this up here works in back testing, no problem. All of this will work as normal. Everything on here will work as normal. The only issue you'll have is the algo, and the reason being is because you're using a higher time frame to give you your bias while using a lower time frame to find your entry. It's obviously, as you skip forward, it'll just skip the candle the whole hour forward. You haven't got the RT of the raging sexist. Any discount for lifetime? Yes. And what I'll do now is I will, bear me a second, I'll just drop a discount code for the live now. Let me just set it up. Bear me a second, guys. I'll leave this running. Let's have a quick look at CL before I do that. So obviously, if you remember, what did we say about CL? The daily predicted that we would close bullish, right? I think if we go to daily. So we can see here that, yeah, so there's a 70%. So it's corrective bearish. So it's predicting it's going to close bearish, but there's a 29% probability that it's going to close bearish. So we're flipping that and going, there's a 70% probability of it closing bullish. So right now, we were on the daily. So obviously when we were talking before, when we started, we were down here where I put this line on. And we were talking about, obviously, this was about where we were. We needed the dynamic TPS to come up above the 0 line before we were looking to potentially bring us back up to the open. So we open here. Here's our open. So we're expecting potentially for CL to close above here. There's a 70% probability that CL is going to come up and close above here. So now we're looking for this transition. So until we transition, yeah, so we transitioned here from bullish to bearish, and this is now giving us that expectation that price is going to drop. So we're not, all this is corrective. In our head, this is corrective, which it very much is. Then we get that switch, we take the low, we get the sell signal, we're expecting that big drop, yeah. So now we're waiting for our trend AI to kind of go, yeah, we're now, so at the moment, 70%, the current volume is still in a bearish trend. It's still higher than 70% of all the previous volume. So until that drops, we can't be seen then to be kind of looking to take that longer term switch in the trends. They might go up and come back down again, but when we're looking for that switch in the trends, we're looking for the trend AI to give us that as well. And again, that's in the settings. So here you can see that a strong threshold, so between 40 and 70%, we'll class it as strong. Over 70% is very strong. Very strong is this bright red. Now you customize these colors yourself to whatever you want. I've just in the video, you'll see the settings, but these are the colors I've just used. So a very strong trend is bright, a strong trend is light, and then a bearish transition is orange. Blue, very strong for bullish. Again, shaded for strong, and then our transition is yellow. So these are everything where we're now below 40% of all the previous data for the trend, knowing that, okay, we potentially could be transitioning. So we see here we go yellow. So we know that's lower than 40% of all the previous bullish, that potentially we're transitioning to bearish. We've then transitioned to bearish on orange. So we have switched, but it's still currently weak. And then you can see that trend getting stronger. We're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. We're waiting for price to show us when it's ready to go. While we're taking highs, That's in the video of tips and tricks, which I'll go through in a second as well. So one of the things that I do is I take, for your market structure, to make it really easy, you just mark up the previous hour. Where was the high of the previous hour? Where was the low? Okay. Where was the high? Where was the low? And then you're not looking to take longs until the hourly is switched and we're taking highs. So when we take this high, that's our first confluence that we're in line, price actions in line to then go bullish. So when we're going bearish, we want to see lows being taken. So while we're still taking highs, so there's the low, there's the low, we take the low here. Now we switch. We've got the alignment. We then get the sell signal. We're then expecting that move. Yeah. And that's in the tips and tricks video in the course of just things that you want to do to give you the confidence. On the M1. Yeah. So it's basically each one of these is an hour, right? So obviously there's the low of that hourly candle. There's the high. So obviously if we're going to go bullish, well, we need to be taking the highs of the hourly candle. So rather than try and catch the bottom, we're looking to see that transition. And because it's hourly, obviously, we have to be patient. So until we see that switch. So obviously if this then switches into bullish here, so structure then changes. We're then looking for that kind of, right now we don't have anything telling us that we want to trade that yet. Because obviously the current hour is 70% probability of being bullish. Yeah, so this hour, when that started, this would have already been, it's a sequence 2. So there's sequence 1, there's sequence 2. So sequence 1 happened here, sequence 2 is happening now. So when we open that candle, we would have gone, okay, there's a 70% probability of this being bullish. So when that opened, obviously that would have given you your EMAs have switched, market structure switched, probability switched. Now, for me, that's great. And obviously they are still high probability trades for you to take. But it's just how many trades do you want to take? And sometimes obviously, like these are some of the trades that I take, but I'll just try and scalp, I might just try and take, like on NQ, 15, 20 points. Mr. Big, no worries, buddy. It's Impossible is still here. So obviously I've just dropped the strategy on that. And I still use the liquidity lines. So it's not built into this because it's not part of what we do here. So part of my targeting is still liquidity. And probably what we'll end up doing is building the statistical probability into the liquidity lines. So obviously, for example, we know that if we're currently in a higher time frame bearish trend and you get a liquidity grab, then more likely you want to take that liquidity grab, especially if it closes below the line, and take it to continuation. But all peace and love, brother. No one listened to me anyway when we did Impossible. Just went mad off everywhere else, but that's fine. So on a 50K account, how many contracts and how many points should we capture? It's quite a vague question. So obviously you want to make sure you manage risk. So is this on a challenge account? Is this on a PA account? Are we looking to trade, live? So for example, one of the things that I will look at is how much risk is on the table for me. So this sell signal here, we've already moved 24 ticks. So if I'm going to enter on this trade, then obviously I know my risk is going to be about 24, 25 ticks. So obviously one contract is going to give me $250 of risk. So then, what am I looking to gain off that? How far are we already in the trend already? So for me, that's just going to be, 1-to-1. I'm looking to take my profit in that last hour, in that last segment where the high probability is, from 40 minutes to the end, or just take a 1-to-1. Take your profit, hit your basic, and then finish for the day and turn up the next day, or wait for the next high probability setup. The point being is you want to wait until everything aligns and then take your trade, because like here, if we'd have just waited through all of this and then gone in, we know we're in a sequence 1. We've got that continuation, and we can take some profit, go BE, and let it run. And that's where you're going to get your big trades, and they add up a lot more. what happens is we end up trading this shit because we jump in, right, and we're just trying to capture, remove, and be done. We haven't got time. So obviously on the trend AI, you can set an alert for the weakening. So on alerts, you can see I've got my payday setups. So I can go in and set my alert. So when we get a weakening trend, it's going to let me know. And then I can jump on and then look for that potential trade coming, which is what I did this morning here. Obviously, when we got this alert for ES, which came through, I was then looking to bring that in short. Obviously, one of the things that we want to do is we've already got a second indicator. Oh, a second, we got another indicator coming, which is going to be, again, a probability indicator. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an easier setup for everyone as well. It's going to be a limit order setup. So it's going to give you a high probability trade that you'll be able to set a limit order and, you know, be done for the day, hit your target, do what you need to do. If you're really busy, struggle to be on the charts, struggle to give it time, and that'll make a big difference. It's customizable so that you can do it. What I would say is I like when I'm trading, I want to see the trend trading. So in Trend AI, it's set here to use real-time data. So as it's happening during the minute, I can see that trend changing. So sometimes I can capture moves early. If you turn it off, it'll wait until the hour's done and then give you the actual data for it. So if you want it, you know, anytime you're not on the chart, it's not using real-time data. It's just using it as the hour's closed. But obviously, if you have the chart open and using real time, then it'll, as it's happening during the hour, you'll get it. Otherwise, it'll be at the beginning. So obviously, at the moment, I use it for real time because I want to be I can generally be active on the charts a lot. Right, should we have a look at some pairs? See how we're doing. Let's go back to NQ. It's a nice messy open. So we've got 10 minutes left. That was the open for New York. Obviously, the prediction was 71% probability that the hour closes bearish. New York opens not, you know, we can filter so you can have a look at just New York opens. So obviously, if you go into the settings, you can filter by the hour and just look at New York Open. So you get the statistics for New York Open. But we also have that in another indicator coming. So it'll give you New York. It'll give you the high probability during the 7 hours of when New York opens, where the lows are, where the highs are. That's the next indicator that's coming in about 2 weeks. So that it'll not just give you the hourly, but it gives you the session of where, you know, the lows and the highs are of bearish and bullish sessions. So again, when you're predicting what the session's going to be, so we put that into our 7 hour, change it to regular trading hours. So we can see that right now we're expected to close bearish. That we can then look at our session broken into 7 hours and know where in those periods we expect the high to low to be of a bearish session. So then you've got your hourlies, and then you've got your whole session to know, okay, during this time, this is where I want to be kind of taking my profits, or by this point, 70% of all the highs are already in. So how does New York fit? Obviously, we get the open mess about. So we get a high at 30 minutes, and then we're in the last 10 minutes. So we'll see how it ends. But right now we're on track for our bearish candle. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got distracted. Let me do the promo code now. Let's build the promo code out. So let's, what the fuck do I do? Promo codes. Sorry guys, here it is, found it. Create a new promo code. YouTube Live. %. Promo. Date. Expire. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. There we go. No, we don't want to limit. No. No, no, no. Code. YouTube. Correct promo code. Right, won't be a second. I've done it now. This is active until November the 6th. So when you get into checkout, if you put in... YouTube, let's put it on. Where's it gone? Right. Okay, so if you do the free trial with the $50 off, you'll get the $97. If you use YouTube at the checkout as well, you'll get another 10%. And that code will last for until the 6th of November. And then that'll expire. Not off your not off your pricing, but you won't, if you haven't signed up, you won't be able to use the code anymore. All right. Yes, you can get 10% off lifetime as well. It's 97 wherever you sign up for. So if you sign up for the 97, that's it per month. Doesn't go up after that. If you get to use the 10% discount for as long as you're active on it, it'll stay at around the $87. You get the 10% off. Yeah, so it's not for 1 month; it's for the entire time. No, you pay if you do on the sign up. So if you use the free trial with the 14 days, and you use the 10%. So if you don't use the 10% discount, it'll be $97. Month 1, month 2, month 3, it'll be $97 a month. That's it. That's the subscription. So that's giving you that discount now. So the standard price is going to be $147. But for the launch, we obviously wanted to do a discount for the launch. So that's why we've given $50 off every month, as well as then just for this live on here on YouTube, we'll give 10% off. And the 10% obviously will be, it's the 10% off the subscription per month, not off 1 month. Obviously, in terms of future projects, so obviously I've built this on my own. I want to get a team of developers in because there is so much more I can do with the algo. It's like literally just the beginning. So this is about me reinvesting, of being able to then bring in a team of coders so that I can develop this even further. So it's only the beginning, like literally the start, and it's going to go. We're gonna really push on everything being about being what is the statistical, giving you the highest probability when you're trading, but not just for how, like I'm talking about how we can trade, just so you've got it, so that however you want to trade, whenever you want to enter, and I want to cover everything. I want to try and find the probability of everything and give you that information. I'll obviously do free ones as well, where we give back into the It's Impossible community. So alongside that, I'll continue to develop free ones, and they'll go into that as well. But other than that, obviously all the stuff that we do for It's Impossible, it's going to be amazing. So for example, one of the things I want to work on is, what does a reversal candle look like? So, you know, when you're trying to catch that reversal on trend, there's obviously a statistical probability of that reversal candle, of what happens and what's the profile of that. Now I can capture that, but it's just building that data inside of it. For example, average moves. So when you get a sequence 1, so when we get a payday setup, what's the average price moved in total during a payday setup? So you know, kind of high probability of where you want to be taking your whole targets to, not just for the hour. So there's tons and tons coming. Just some of it is beyond my ability to be able to build it for you. Obviously, everything you see now, I've built myself, which has taken a long time to do, and that's why I want to get a team behind me so that we can get that hour, we can get that vision. I can get that vision going for everybody. So obviously, if you take the lifetime, you will get access to everything forever. Yes, mate. Yeah. It's going to be, I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's a huge psychology side to this as well. You know, like I'm 3 years in now in trading. So, you know, I understand the challenge of being a trader. I've got 4 kids. I've got a business outside of this. Time is an issue. I'm not on my own. You know, all of that type of thing makes it difficult to like with your psychology. But when you trade with probability like this, it's not, you take yourself out of the picture. It's always that I was wrong and getting over that I'm wrong when I took the trade. But when you trade with probability, you're not making that decision. So it's helping you with your psychology. It's taking away that responsibility that you made that decision to take that trade. You thought it was going to go down. It's about taking that I think and removing it and going, statistically, if I continue to do what I'm doing, I'm right. Statistically, this is the right thing to do. If it's wrong, it's fine. But 70% of the time, I'll be right, because I'm trading with the statistics. I'm trading with the high probability. And that just helps a lot, really helps a lot with your psychology. And to be patient, like to know what you're looking for when you're looking for it, you know, visually, instead of the rush of the head going, it looks like it's going to go. No, I am waiting for my transition. I'm waiting for my transition. I think it's going to go bearish. I'm waiting, because there's still the opportunity. And when it goes, if it's going to go bullish, I'm waiting. So all these weak trends, we're waiting. It's not gone bearish yet. Was there some drops? Yes. Could you capture a bit? Yes. But it's not yet that trend. It's not yet that bearish trend until we get that transition. And then we're looking for that bearish. We're looking for that switch in price to move us into the bearish trend. So obviously there's been some great payday setups that have come. Like this was a great one yesterday. We can see, obviously, look, we switch, we transition. So this is one I put on Twitter: sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3, sequence 4. So all the way along there, we weren't aligning. We were, I think there was one of them that closed bearish. This closed bullish. But you can see that we switch here, and then we get the buy signal, and that's where we get that nice trade in line with that switch. But obviously this is counter trend, which is why we're not expecting it to go to the moon. We wait for those transitions to be in line. Yeah. So transition bearish, we're expecting that to then give us that bearish move. Bearish, bullish, sorry, transition bullish. We're now expecting that move, and then we get it. Yeah. So the transitions is about helping you be patient, helping you wait for that right setup to put it in the right time. So we get our bearish close as predicted by the algo. We have a messy hour. Doesn't align with our hourly. That's fine. It's a New York Open. And then obviously now we're into our next hour. We can see, actually, hang on. Let me change that to 1 hour. So here we are in NQ. We have an 88% probability of, nope, hang on. I need to put it back to electronic. We have a 70% probability of being bearish. We're on sequence 10. So we have literally been bearish all the way through 10 hours. I hope no one tried to go long. Yeah. So for example, this is done by the chart that you're on. So that's why I have it as a separate window. I will be coming live every day that I can go live. So it'll be between 2 and 3 days a week. Tony's trying to do the other side as well. So between us, we're going to try and go live every day. And then part of that live is about coming on and talking about the different pairs. So what's it currently looking at? You know, not just me trading and looking to take trades, but also what the current analysis is, where we're currently sitting, what's the higher time frame, where was our probability, you know, and just reiterate this whole kind of giving us the probability of the different pairs. So let's have a look. So we've got NQ. Obviously, we've opened up now New York. We're currently still sitting at bearish. We've been bearish for a long time. We've had a nice drop this hour. Any requests? We have a look at gold. So you can look at futures, obviously, or you can look at CFDs, whatever you prefer. CG? No. Yeah, no. What's gold? Why can't I remember? GC, that's it. So here's gold. Here's our transition. Bearish, sell. Thank you very much. We're on a sequence 4, expected bearish. 1. So it's 4, 3, 2, 1. So sequence 2 was here. So we can have a look at what the probability was of sequence 2. Pew. So we are bullish and bearish. So we're against the higher time frame, which is great, but we're bullish and we're bearish. So sequence 1 was 96%, and then sequence 2 was 89%, 62%. So you can see the difference between when the higher time frame is against that switch. We are high time frame bullish. Look at the probability. So it's 62%, but when it matches the higher time frame, it's 72%. So that's why I'm saying about waiting for those to align, because it's so much more high probability. So we can know when we had that, we were obviously aligned. We had a transition. We got a strong bearish trend. We had a sequence 2. So we had a 62% probability of that candle being bearish. And we're going to get rid of you. We're going to put you in the middle. I'm going to make you large again. So when we had here, so we're bearish. So there's 54% probability our highs here. Plus 16. Maths on me today. 70%. So there's a 70% probability on gold on bearish candles at the highs in the first 20 minutes. And then we have 56%. 56% that the probability that the low is going to be in the last 20 minutes. So we can see in the last 30 minutes that takes us up with 18. So it takes us up to that 70% mark in the last 30 minutes that we expect the low to be at that point. But obviously, again, if we're transitioning and we know where the sequence is matching, we expect those continuations as well. We can obviously take profits and trail through. But yeah, that was a nice trade. So none of these signals repaint. That sell signal does not repaint. It is based off of statistical data. So when that sell signal came, you had a 70% probability that was the high for the bearish hour. So that's why I say the sell signals they're based off of probability. It's not price action, it is statistical based. Then combined with the algo and combined with your another analysis, those all aligned, that's your real high probability. Hello. You're the one with the muscles. Oh man, thanks for coming on. Yeah, there's an hour-long video in the course of me talking rubbish, and then I've dropped some individual stuff. I'm going to continue to add to that course. So obviously there's the different setups that you can take. So I'm going to talk about another setup now, right? So, for example, using statistical lows. So if we're going to be bearish, right? For example, like here or like here, what this is giving you is if we're expecting that candle to be bearish, and if that's the low, we can look at what the probability of that low sticking there for the hour, right? Just want to go back on Q, see what we've got. Q, it matches. Q. So there's a good example. Obviously, these don't happen all the time, but let's. Very strong moves. Right, well, I mean, this is a strong move at the end, but here in this hour, so this was the sequence 3, so there was a 70% probability of this being bullish, right? So this high here, for example, we can use our data to go, obviously, we're expecting this to be bullish, right? That there is if it's in the first 20 minutes, so we got basically 18% probability that that's the high. So we can use our data to be like, this is an 18% probability to be the high. And then look at that. We have a liquidity grab with a high probability expected to be bullish. There's your impossible matched with the algo. So wick down, fail to close, right? With an 18% probability that that's the high, which this one had a 73% probability of being bullish. So what's your risk here? Here's your risk. Here's your reward. Right? Great setup. So these are, using the statistical data to find opportunity in the trade. So I just want to remind everyone as well, the tips and tricks. So we are matching, we're doing our market structure, right, by hour. Make it really simple. So it's not this, I think that's the high, I think this is the low. Let's make it really simple. Yeah. You take the high and low of every hour and you bring it across. Usually just for the second hour, if you really wanted for the third. But so we're going to take this high and we bring it across to the end of the hour. Okay. And we take the low and we bring it across. Right. So while we're breaking lows, it's confirming our bias as bearish, right? It's matching what we're expecting to happen. Okay. So we can take the high, bring it across, and we take the low and we bring it across. So we can see we break that low quite quickly, giving us confidence that there's our, that we're going to continue in that direction as well as all the other bias, right? So here's the low, and we can see we don't take it in that hour, in the next hour. So that's given us that, okay, potentially we might switch. Obviously, we then break the low here, which gives us, we're not taking the buy because there was no probability of it being bullish at that point. We break the low again, which then gives us that confidence that we're going back into a bearish trend again. So you're just using the high and low of each hour brought forward another hour to just match up. So when you're looking for your trades, you don't jump in too early either. You want to see that the market structure changes, probability changes, trend AIs in your direction, all that type of thing. Just really increasing high probability for you. Now, I was going to build that into the indicator so that it marks it for you. And if people want it, I'll do it. The reason why I've left it on, because there's always this, I feel if you do it yourself with something as well, it fits better in your brain. So physically going, we are not yet. We are not yet. But if you want me to build it in, I'll build it in so that it just marks it for you. How are you getting the 20-minute probabilities? How am I getting the 20-minute probabilities? It's here. Okay, each segment is 10 minutes. Segment 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, so if we're going to go bearish, there's a 57% probability on NQ that the high of the hour is in the first 10 minutes. It is only good as you can interpret it. However, that's what this is for you, and that's what the signals are for you. They're already giving you the data, so those signals are based off of high probability, matching high probability. You don't need to interpret it. You just need to follow the indicator. You just need to wait for when you get your trends matching your high probabilities, and then your hourlies breaking lows, and then your signals to sell. That's it. That's what you need to wait for, right? We transitioned, we started breaking lows, and then our sell opportunities come. And there's our payday. There's a huge trade, right? It's not like other statistical edges where there's a lot of calculation, there's a lot of that. It's not. It's there for you to look at it. But the reality is you don't even need to look at this. You can hide it. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. I know this is the average price will move this hour if it's bullish. This is the average price will move if it's bearish. This is 50% of that. Very high probability. This is what this hour is currently telling me. And when I get a signal, that signal is based off of statistical data. So I know on NQ, when I get a signal, it's going to be in line with bearish 70% of the time. That's going to be the higher the hour. So it's built so that you're not having to get caught up in data. If you like working with data, then obviously you can really take it to another level by utilizing that. But this is why it's not just one trick pony. It's not just people who want to use the indicator in this way, waiting for your transitions, waiting for your hours to break lows, then yeah, fine. You can use it in this way we were talking about. Wait for your sell signals and look to take your trades with high probability with your algo. But if you trade ICT, for example, let's say you were trading 2022 mentorship and you're looking for you're trading during the kill zones, right? And you're looking for the first fair value gap. Well, this is going to tell you wait for a high probability kill zone that gives you your directional bias, and then take your first fair value gap in line with the probability. Now you're trading your kill zone with probability. How long is a kill? What, an hour long kill zone? You can make them. There you go. Or an hour and a half. You can set it to 90 minutes. It gives you the probability of the direction of that kill zone. You're just looking for your entry, which is your fair value gap. Right? You're trading market structure, right? You're price, you're using higher time frame market structure, you're waiting for that reversal candle, you're waiting for the hourlies to start matching the direction before we're taking lows. So it's not just how we're talking about using it. This is obviously for people who are beginners or are looking for ways to trade. All the videos will help you do that. Let's load up our stocks. Fucking hell. These are not in order. There we go. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's to be used in how you trade. If you want to use how we suggest, absolutely. Otherwise, that's why this isn't a mentorship. This is why it's an indicator, because it's about, I've put in some, if people want to learn to trade, put the information there. I'll do a boot camp in it as well on how I use it, and how you want to use that in the same way. Great. Otherwise, this is about taking this data and matching it to how you trade, trading with probability. It's giving you that probability edge to your system. And it's another confluence. All right, so here we've got, hang on. So here I've just put all of the, some different stocks and where they currently sit each day as New York opens, what the prediction is. So we can see NVIDIA is corrective, 17% probability of closing bullish. So again, NVIDIA's got an 83% probability of closing bearish today. Apple, running at 50-50. Amazon is corrective bullish. High probability of closing bearish. High time frame bullish, bearish. High time frame bullish, strong bullish. So hang on. So advanced micro, I've got that on 12 months. I've got it on a year. So right now, when this happens, it's only happened twice before, but the year ended bullish. So obviously for long-term investing, you can use it on that as well. So let's just change that back to the 7 hour. No, it just means just based on how many candles that you've got. Obviously, the more it gives you more data, but generally it's roughly the same statistics anyway. So that's why you want to use the hourly for the strategy, because it'll give you more data. But no, you don't worry about having masses amount of look back. Just free trading use fine. Okay, so we can see obviously that we are bearish and high time frame bullish. High time frame bullish and bearish sequence one. So there's an 84% probability that Google is closing bearish. And there we can see Google currently bearish. Now, obviously, when we had that pull up, potentially there might be an opportunity as we start reversing on the lower time frame to trade the stocks. But yeah, so you can use it for stocks. Obviously, you can do the same thing again in all different pairs. This is just for New York Open. I can look at it per hour on all the different ones. Hey, Christos. To wait for high probabilities, I can set my alerts for my payday setups. So when I'm waiting for a pair to align back in with the higher time frame, I get that weak transition. I can then look to take that pair and look for my entry where it all aligns. No guessing, just trading with probability. Yeah. So I'm only trading when all these things align. So let's just show you it on non-futures, just so you can see. So on Oanda, let's do some Forex. So we're on sequence 3. What are we expecting? We're bearish. We have a weakening of the trend. We are expecting a continuation until we get our transition. Here was our transition. Bullish, bearish, and there's our transition on Euro USD. Do you need to, what pair you on? Never mind. We're good. So obviously we'd be looking for this. We're corrective bearish, we're at 50%. We're waiting for this to realign itself with the higher time frame trend, and we would expect a continuation unless we get a transition. But again, until that point, our bias is that we continue to go down. Euro USD on the daily. No statistical edge on the daily for us, other than that the higher time frame is bearish, and we're currently corrective bearish. So that's Euro USD. You want to look at yen, USD JPY. I just change both of them. No. Oh. Oh, no. Look at that transition. Bearish, transition, bullish. There's our bias all the way. That's. They haven't even looked at USD JPY. So currently on the hour, we are corrective bullish. So we have nothing giving us anything exciting on the hour at the moment. Obviously, we have a strong trend. So we don't currently look to short this, not until we transition. What pairs do I focus on? I like CL, MQ, ES. However, I am trying to transition into just focusing on paydays, setting up the alerts so that I can focus on kind of waiting for high probability setups. Am I using the indicators? Yeah, I am, yeah. So I will tend to, and obviously one of the things that we'll go into in further ones as well, I do use VIBs, and this indicator will be available free. It's not paid. This is just anyone can use this. So one of the things I do like is to use VIBs to help me with stop loss, even take profits and things like that. Obviously, I was in DMR VIBs I've always liked. But that isn't part of MaxAlgo. It's just something I've built. So if you want it, it'll be in the Discord. You can access it anyway. So I use these for my targets. These are high probability targets. These are based off of the data. So let's bring up the hourly stats. So we can see here on USD JPY. Let's go up to the 5 minute. Right. Let's increase our date range. So based around 880 candles, right? So on bullish, we have a 58% probability that on USD JPY that the low is in the first 10 minutes, and we have a 16% probability that's in the next 10 minutes. And so in the first 20 minutes, you can see we have a 75% probability that the lows are in, and bearish, around about the same. What's nice around USD JPY is how high, and this is a big one to look at as well, is it's great to get kind of where the high is in a bearish trend. But if you get a pair that's got a really high probability of where the low is, that's great for taking targets. So you've got targets where we've got it physically on the chart, which is your mean and your average and 50% of the mean. But then you've also got time. So when you're taking profit, that actually if this candle's bearish, that 60% of all the lows are in the last 20 minutes. So it's like, if you're in early, you realistically in the first half an hour, taking profit in the first half an hour, you're really losing out, right? Because of that hour, you've got 6%, 8%, and 10%. So, 24% roughly of the lows of a bearish candle in the first half an hour. So all of the data is weighted to the last half an hour, and especially in the last 20 minutes. So not only can you be looking to take profit based on targets, but you can also be looking to take profit based on time. There is more information on payday. There's a specific video around setups. I did try to focus a lot on the payday setup because it is the highest statistical probability trade, because you're trading with the higher time frame trend. In the first 7 minutes of the new 1 hour candle, 93 points. So if you've got a high probability, so we'll talk about NQ, right? One, you make your profits, you hit what you want to hit. Get out of the market anyway. Like, we're all about taking profits. So if you get a strong move that's higher than normal, don't worry about whether you've missed out further. So I'm not saying that you have to hold it, but if it still hasn't hit your target or hasn't got to where you want to go, time's on your favor if it's not yet near the end of the hour. What you also know is what sequence you're in. So if you're in a sequence 1 of a bearish trend with a higher bearish, sequence 2's coming. Yes, there will be. I mean, obviously, as we're going live, today was a lot about talking about MaxAlgo, but there'll be live trading as well, where we're taking trades and taking profit. So for example, here, the low was at this point, but it didn't quite hit the target. So it's just a case of, okay, well, at this point, I might take the risk off, right? Because the hour's coming to an end, not quite got where I wanted. I'll move my stop to break even because statistically the low might be in. So there's risk management ways of using it. And the more you use it, the more you'll get kind of confident, like anything that you do. But if we're talking about in the first, if we're talking about high volume, then, statistically this hour, we've hit our high probability area, right? So that might be our target. It doesn't matter that it's not in this set time. That was our high probability target, and we took it and we hit our profit, and great. That's high probability, right? It's the average of 795 bearish candles. That's the average price moved, right? So that's fine. If we're not hitting that and it hasn't got quite to it, but time-wise we're not quite there yet, we know we've got time in our favor because 50% of all, 59% of all the lows of a bearish candle were in the last 20 minutes, right? So it's just giving you where it is, on NQ. That's 1 minute. So we're on a sequence 10, which means obviously we've been in a very long bearish trend. So we're basically expecting that trend to end. On a sequence 10, obviously we've gone from 1 to 10. 10 is the last sequence that we track to give you an indication of how far we've gone. So we are expecting some movement by that point, right? We've had 10 hours of being in a bearish trend. So obviously, we're jumping in near the end of trends, right? We want to be using that transition and using the kind of sequence, early sequences to get us in and to take our trades. So at the moment, obviously, this is still expected to close bearish, still 70%, so 54. So we've had on the hourly, we've had 54 candles that made it to sequence 10. So just to give you an indication, at the start of the sequence, right, we had about 750. We can have a quick look. But anyway, yeah, so we had a large amount of candle, large amount of data. So that just gives you an example of how many make it that far. It's not many. Correct. Sequence 1's just the first shift. So it's the first point of when that trend changes. Whether you can change obviously when you're bearish. Before you go bullish, you generally change into a corrective bearish trend. So, for example, what's a corrective bearish trend? Well, a lot of time a corrective bearish trend is a move down. We start moving back up. We might come down, take the lows, and then go bullish. So that's that corrective phase in a bearish phase. But then obviously the whole point is that point we will then transition back into bearish or transition into bullish. So we've got those 4 phases basically: bearish, bullish, corrective bearish. And we have the higher time frame. So you've got 4 that go into 8, and then you've got 10, tracking 10 levels of them. So there's 80 different algo levels that it'll give you at any one point. But obviously we're looking for ideally a bullish sequence with a bullish trend, and that's what this gives you of when that potentially can happen. So our transition from bullish to bearish into a strong bearish trend into our sequence 1, because we are 10, so it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we transition here into a sequence 1 and remain bearish through. Yeah. Yeah. Corrective is, a good example of corrective was the other day when, where did we get that big drop? Not that one. These are all my hourly levels. Oh no. I'll delete it. Put it back on. Yeah. So we had a corrective. Here it was. Here, this is absolutely perfect example of the. So we were bullish, and then we corrected, and I was waiting for us to have that. We'd had this obviously long move up. I was waiting for us to have that correction. So while we were here, we were obviously we had this bullish move down. Then we started correcting. So here you can see obviously in the hourlies, we started to make highs. So we start breaking highs. New York open. We break the low. We come under the 0 line on our dynamic TP. We get our sell signal. That was my entry. And I took profit here. That was a cracking trade. Now, bearish, when you get these large bearish moves, no, there's no sequence 11. It's just because I had to stop at some point. So I stopped at 10. I can increase it if we need to increase it, but there's just not much. There's just not that much data of it going past 10. An example of a payday entry is just your higher time frame. So this was a payday entry here. So our higher time frame was bullish. So we'd been in a bullish. We were in a bullish trend. We transitioned from bearish to bullish, and that was our payday. Transition from bullish to bearish. We had a sequence 1, which was, I think, like around here. Sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3. And then we obviously we're over the 0 line, which is great. Everything aligning. We had a high time frame bullish, sequence 1, transition, bang. It was a huge trade. This we were in a bullish trend, so we transitioned bearish in a bullish trend, and that's where obviously that's not a payday. There's still potential there. We don't get any sell signals to give us into it anyway, but there's still potential for some movement there, but not as big as a continuation of the higher time frame trend. We're talking much higher time frame on the trends, right? So we just got transitions for bullish, transitions from bullish to bearish, right? So our transition, we go into a bullish trend, transition into a bearish. This is another payday. Transition into bullish. See you later. Transition to bearish. Transition to bullish. Right? So the transitions are great at giving you kind of bringing you in at the right, giving you that patience to wait for the direction that you're looking for. Cool. Right. Well, I have been on for 2 hours. So before I go, first, we actually did it. Congratulations to the winners. What the fuck does the higher time frame trend track? It tracks the higher time frame trend. If you want to know how it works, that's a secret. Sorry to say. That's part of the algo, really, in terms of I don't know really what to say to you other than it's giving you. We've had winners, yes. So we give away 5 lifetime licenses at the beginning of the stream. We will continue every time we're live. We'll look to be doing giveaways, continue to give away to people. We've already done the winners. They'll be going out on X later, so you can see who they are. On the top of the rock, I'm sorry, I don't think you were a winner. Don't remember that name coming up. Aaron was a winner, though. Weren't you, Aaron? And we have had a couple of people in the stream that were winners. Congratulations to you guys on the lifetime licenses. Obviously, you've got the discount in the stream. So you get obviously take your 14-day trial. And then you can also get 10% off with YouTube. That is lifetime, 10% off as well. And 10% off for this subscription. So if it's $97, you're getting 10% off that already again. So there's $50 off. That will be removed in about 2 weeks. And the pricing will be $147. So getting that trial now in the 14 days, see if it's for you anyway. But then if you do want to take it, obviously that'll be the lowest the price will be, especially with the 10% off. I'm looking forward to doing this, guys. Day in, day out. We're going to be going on. We're going to be looking at pairs. We're going to be finding opportunity. We're going to be looking at crypto. We're going to be looking at higher time frame investing, using our trend AI to look for when we're see the crypto potentially starting to transition with the higher time frame, and then we can DCA in for our crypto investments. We're going to be looking at on stocks, everything basically. Part of the lives is obviously trading and trading live. I have obviously I had started trading this morning, and I was trading around here with the New York Open. I'm not going to start trading just before New York Open. It's just silly, just for the sake of the live. And then obviously right here, we're right at the end of the trend. I would have liked to have seen CL. That was what I wanted to trade, I think. CL. What have I done? I'm on Colgate. That's not CL. So if you remember, we were looking at CL because the day expected CL to go bullish. Obviously, we were expecting it to come back up to the open, I think. That was some double check. My brain is like a fart. Yeah, so we've got a 70% probability that CL closes bullish today. And we were looking for that transition, obviously, to bring us in line. So obviously we've got the weakening, but until we get the full transition, and obviously we haven't had any signals. Did we get anything on the late signals? Yeah, so some of the late signals gave some good entries. Early signals. Yeah. So nothing there for me anyway. We've not yet transitioned into a full bullish DR confirmed short. What on CL? Ooh. Cool. So obviously, until we see that transition, our bias is always bearish. The trend has to change for us to flip, to go really where we need to get to in terms of what we want to see. But we are above the zero line. So we have made that transition from where we transitioned below the zero line here, where we got a trade. So I was in, where did I get my trade on CL this morning? It'd probably be in this one. Yeah. So I did 500 on me on CL this morning on prop firms. Again, if it had been trading and not just building out MaxAlgo, I probably would have babysitted this a little bit longer. But anyway, it's about making your money, getting out, and being happy. So yes, so obviously high probability, we're bearish, we've gone under, nice sell signal. It was a sequence 1, high probability, or a sequence 2. I was in, made money. Don't be greedy. Don't worry about it. Don't try and trade every hour. So then obviously when the daily was showing me that obviously we have a high probability of coming back to the daily open, I was then looking for that potential opportunity to reverse. Now, obviously, we started to take the highs here. So this was our first hourly high that we took. And then we've continued to take highs. So remember, this hour low is down here. Right? So that hour low is there. So if we want to looking at market structure, we'd want that low to go within the hour for us to look for that switch. Yeah. And obviously we'll do that until that hour. And then when this hour closes, we'll take the low of that hour. See if we can have that flip as well. Let's look at ES. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Yeah. We are still in a bearish trend. Obviously, this hour, we have an 80% probability of being bearish. And you can see that we open here. We're currently above the open. So we've got 15 minutes left, but obviously this might be a point of now, obviously, this failing will be the reversal potentially. If we then transition into a corrective bearish, we'll then look to look for that to then come back up and switch back to the higher time frame. But right now, that's the high of the previous hour. Until that high goes, breaking lows. And then we will use the low this hour. Yeah, so this is our market, really quick way of doing market structure. Keep it nice and easy. Why are these late, these buy signals? So these are late because they're at the end of the hour. So it's after 30 minutes. After 30 minutes has been, it's then giving you the signals. And they're good for continuation. When you start seeing sell, 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 it's like confluence of it all adding up. But yeah, so they're just looking at after the half an hour, a continuation of the trend. Also for potentially for New York. So for example, like if you do switch into regular trading hours, then the hourly candle can go between half past and half past. So those signals can then become your main signals as well if you do use the New York. Okay. Okie dokie. We've looked at NQ. Did we look at NQ? No. Yeah. So NQ starting to shift back up as well. I think NQ was 50-50, wasn't it? Here we go. So what was our daily? Is that on regular? Yeah, electronic. Okay, so bearish, switching into bearish. Thought I'd put these highs on. Anyway. So obviously we want to see, we're going to switch into a bullish pullback, and we want to see this high go, and then the hourly start taking the highs. Yeah, we have transitioned into a sequence 1 on the daily. So obviously if we close bearish today and everything aligns, then we know that potentially we're starting that bearish trend. So let's just have a look at the data on that bearish trend for the daily before I go. Keep me going here. Okay, so we're high time frame bullish on a bearish, high time frame bullish and a bearish. So there's 398. So of the 398 bearish sequence 1s that we had, 295 transitioned into a bearish 2. So I think that's about 70%. Let's just do the calculations. This will be built in for you. Okay, so 395 by 398. Yeah, so we've got a 75% probability today closes as sequence 1, that tomorrow is going to be a sequence 2 as well. So sequence 2 is a 66% probability of being bearish. So NQ finishes today, closes bearish. We expect tomorrow to be bearish as well, with a 66% probability of being bearish. Again, these are confluences that you use to help with your bias to then look for price to give you the same thing. So I'm higher time frame bearish, I'm current time frame bearish, I'm market structure bearish. Where did I get 75% from? Okay, so 398, 295. So 295, what's the percentage of 295 into 398? And that tells you that to get a sequence 2, we have to have a sequence 1. So what is the percentage of sequence 1s that went into a sequence 2? And that gives you that future prediction, what you can probability of that trend continuing as well. Again, this will be built into the indicator as well. All these updates will be included. So we can see obviously then of 295, 207 went into a bearish 3. So at some point, obviously we'll see that probability start lowering, that in a corrective, in a higher time frame, we don't see those trends last as long. Ignore the top line at the moment. That's an error. It shouldn't be there. It's just a duplicate. So you only want to be using second line down. Apologies, guys. Ignore this top line. I have put that in the videos when you start. You'll see that. It's just duplicating data. So it's just from this bearish one here, second one down. That this data does not pull from here. Only pulls from the right ones. Yeah. So then obviously, but we can look at the weekly. And I think obviously the weekly profile was it bullish? Corrective bullish in a higher time frame on the weekly for NQ. Bearish trend on the weekly. Okay. Again, these are just to help kind of, they're not click and trade. They are what's currently going on, give you that probability. Yes, so session probability is it's already done. The indicator's already done, so it'll be released in about 2 weeks. Just be added on. You'll all get access to it, everyone who's joined. and that shows you the session probability. But in there, we're also have another setup. So we've built, what I wanted to make sure is that obviously for people who struggle to be on the charts, to try and create a limit order setup so that you've got a high probability area that you can set your limit order on. So it's called the Lazy Boy. For that reason, you're able to select specific data, and it gives you the probability of when price hits there. What's the price? What's the probability when it does hit there, that it's then going to go on and hit that level? And then the whole point is that probability is in line. So it's virtually mechanical for you, that it puts you in favor. Now, when you then add session probability to that as well, so when you know you've got a high probability session, that will increase any mechanical system. So I am looking in the future to build the algo into a mechanical system as well, so that it's only taking trades during high probability. So you've got your standard kind of systems, but then it will only use the algo to kind of use those signals. So that's future development as well that'll be coming. Yeah, I need to go. It's been a couple of hours, but at least this time we all worked. The system's great. I've had great success with it. I only hope you guys have success with it as well. I will be in the Discord for asking questions. I'll be live as much as possible. So do you want me to put a link to the store on? No worries. I'm going to build out the website. For now, I'm just using Whoop, but I'm going to build out the website. And behind that, I want to put a database, basically, so all of this is inside of it, so that you can filter through all the data without going on TradingView. Let me get you a link to the store. I owe a thanks as well to everyone. Do us a favor. I am not a YouTuber. Give us a like. I don't know how it helps, if it helps, but I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on as well. I'm going to put a link in the store now. For anyone who's signed up for the trial, again, I appreciate you taking the time to come and have a look at it. Obviously, I want to help as much as possible, give you as much information. Come and join the lives, ask me any questions. We're going to continue to do this so that we can get that repetition of what you're looking at and what you're using. And obviously ask any questions in the Discord as well. But much love to you guys. I really appreciate all your support. And obviously, I'm really excited for the future. Thanks, everybody. How do I end it?